So, this might not seem like a disability right issue, but it really is, and that's just please let people be silly for once in a while, be themselves. I mean, I saw sometimes the best coping mechanism is just to be a motherfucking T Rex monster thingamabobber. Sometimes when I'm really like any energy or confidence or nervousness, I pretend to be what I call a motherfucking T Rex that is huge, gigantic, breathe fires, can just eat all the enemies, stomp and destroy anything. Yes, I know it's completely not realistic. Nothing I'm saying makes any sense. But by doing such an unrealistic thing and being silly and making noises, the arm movements, and running around, I get a boost of confidence, and also the role playing makes me happy. People can do all sorts of things. I used to wear sometimes cardboard boxes over my head and punch little eye holes out and just pretend to be a robot and all these things. And you may be like, oh, this is unnecessary, blah, blah, but I'm going to argue it was necessary. It gave me confidence. It gave me happiness, and let me do it from day to day. And that's all that really matters. So when we tell people not to do stuff like that and to be mature and not act silly, we get rid of that. And we also criticize people online for doing silly little things. If they're doing silly stuff online, as long as they're not hurting other people or taking up space from other people, let them be silly. I mean, it's totally different when they're scamming people, when they're making a lot of money off of bad off of people and not giving it back. It's totally different when there's people hurting. But if they're making silly little videos, let them be. And this other thing about silliness is not only is it great for mental health, and it also gives an event so people can focus and get back to the rest of their life. They goof off, then they're ready to work again. It also can be a source of creativity. Sometimes goofing off when you're role playing could lead to ideas for a great new story or events or a movie or something like that. Writing it could lead to ideas in science even. Some ideas in science came straight out of science fiction and people goofing off. A famous story about how benzene was discovered was that benzene was discovered by a guy that thought about snakes biting them tails. People discovered new people discovered so many things by just goofing around with chemicals and mixing them up. So let people be silly. It's a huge disability, but all the time we're instead telling people be mature. Now, I think this doesn't only happen to neurodivergents and autistics and disabled people like me, but also hurts children as they have to grow up too fast or whatever you call it, grow up. But also hurts neurotypical people because neurotypical people then cut off the vents and instead they keep their anger and stuff inside of them and yell at people. But also hurts them because they judge people wrongly. So you don't hire good people or competent people because they just look silly. Well, thank you very much. I hope. Oh yeah, even beyond that, I forgot to say is something that might appear silly to you might not be it because maybe it has a historical or cultural thing or some other thing that you're just not aware of. So even if it looks silly, it might not be. It also might have an excellent use that you're not aware of. Some examples I can think of would be a two-handled cup. Some person say it was silly, but it's a Havdalah cup. And it's one used in ancient Jewish tradition. In a Havdalah cup, you hold one hand. In the old days, you'd hold one handle in one hand. You should pour water over one hand. Then you hold the other handle and use the water, pour water over the other hand. And that way you don't get one side dirty with the other side so you can clean better. I'm going to show you a quick picture of it. It also is made fully out of metal, so you could just heat up that antibacterial properties, and you could heat up and clean up. Sorry, what? Oh, sorry, it wasn't Havdalah. Why do I always confuse my words? Dyslexia. Two-handed cup. Not two-handed cup. What's his name? Caduce. No, I really thought it was Havdalah cup. Well, it's a Jewish cup. I really should know the name, but yeah, kind of, these are not great examples. It might just be the internet. Yeah, that's a two-handed Boston cup I'm talking about. Great one. But another one is people criticizing Nagun circles, which are a way of Jewish meditation where you gather up in a circle and you move around with a rhythmic motion to a beat and swing around back and forth. And it simple sounds and music just with a beat. Oftentimes no words, sometimes very simple words. There's no musical instrument and there's a lot of clapping. But people start, when you start goofing up how they dance really quickly, they slam into each other, fall down, all those other things. And the melodies are so simple. And I've heard multiple people criticize and say it should be fancier. And that it can't be very spiritual, but it is a very spiritual experience. Because the whole point is they get overwhelmed with emotion and joys. And that means sometimes you start running into people or falling down because you're just so overwhelmed with energy and happiness. And the whole thing is meant to be simple, so you can just get overwhelmed by the sounds and the feelings and stuff and stop focusing on it. So yes, the whole thing is simple and silly looking, but it fills you up with so much joy, and it's such a great spiritual experience. Then there's other silly things is you can look at other cultures, how they dress, stuff. I'm not going to go into that as much because I'm not. You can look at silly things with technology, like they might not understand, and you might criticize like the big car parking spaces for disabled people, but it's because some disabled people have wheelchairs and need access to space, and all these minor little things. You might have, then you have people that have certain things like, I don't like being called good boy. People might call that silly. Why is calling person a good, why do I really not like being called a good boy? Because I was treated young like a dog, and it's a lot of trauma. So it reminds me. So to you might sound silly to make such a big deal about not being called good boy, but to me it's a big deal. And that's also a thing. Trauma can be a very, very specific thing or a generalized thing. And you shouldn't write it off as silly or not because you don't understand it. Routines might be very important person or something for reasons you don't know. So just stop criticizing stuff automatically as silly and think that silly is bad. Well, thank you very much for listening. If you have any ideas for future topics or want to leave any comments about the video or ideas for improvement or questions, leave them in the comment section below. Also, like it, subscribe, and share this video. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers within a year, and I have to take it was 4,000, 40,000 watch hours, which is hard, but with your help, I think I can do it. Thank you very much. Goodbye.